Sometimes you want to create a synthetic indicator linked to one of your key performance indicators. For example, revenues in case of companies. In this video you'll see one related to an organization, such as a state, or of interest of intelligence agencies. You see that with this methodology that I will explain, we have such countries at risk of a revolution or a big political shift, if you prefer, and if we compare this score with the one of Italy of many years, you see that it is at least around 10 times higher. If we take another year, we see different countries, but two appear again, and I also calculated the amount of emigration that country could experience because of the political instability or revolution also. As I said in a previous video, political instability that also ends into a revolution can spark emigration, because instability and wars have a link. You notice that in this case we have mostly black countries, and in 2002 we have, let's say, 2 white countries and some olive. Let's see briefly the data documentation, the boring part. I collected the political participation that comes from this website, and let me say something here. I find extremely debatable that Italy has the same index as Ukraine. I don't want to add something else, as I find extremely debatable that Israel has an index very similar to Norway. As I said in many occasions, it isn't true that data doesn't lie. It all depends by the methodology also of the analysis I did. And fortunately here we have the methodology explained, or at least referenced, so if one wants to understand why Italy and Ukraine have the same index, they have to spend some quarters of hours inside the links they reference. Now, the next column is the age dependency ratio that comes from this source. And this variable, but all the others you see here, didn't come from a selection you saw in other videos. In other videos you see that I do a variable selection through statistical significativity. Here I did a literature research, and I saw that those variables can track instability and so the risk of a revolution. And they observed that the countries that had a the population had more instability. If you think about the hormones of adolescence, it doesn't really come as a surprise. Even though one could say that if that is true, then in the Middle Eve we would have much higher instability than in the society of today that have the same age features. Next variable is trade balance, that is the balance of a country in terms of import and export. The next one is unemployment, and I really didn't like to put this because unemployment can have a misleading effect, but if one wants a more complete picture, one needs also to add the so-called NEET, so the not employed and not currently learning. They are also called not active, but unfortunately this data is not available for all the countries you see. Last variable is the external debt on wealth, and I didn't take the one on GDP. Then I did a very simple formula that used the logic of push and pull factors. Of course, this is again up to debate, and I had the scores. And here I did a simple query that took the 10 highest scores, in this case for 2002, and then for 2023. As you can understand, intelligence agencies don't use such a simple formula. And this is much more important, they have data or columns or variables of much higher quality, not just in terms of predictability, but in terms of timeliness. I mean that if in this year we had those countries, we can discover it in 2023, not in the same year. So those results can just look academical, not of interest of an agency. But of course, agencies, since their job is collect data in a timely manner, have such kind of conclusions much faster than a curious person like me. In other words, intelligence agencies have such data, but other of higher quality in a much shorter time frame and not with 1 year of delay, because they have basically paid subscriptions to data, that is spies and not only. So they have a different kind of API, that is generally the waiter of data, that takes the name of spy, or in a structured way, they have an agency of intelligence. Now, let's go back to 2023. Most likely, if you search the news for those countries in 2024, and I record this video at the end of June, most likely you will see news of some kinds of disorders at least. In the case of Haiti, they have something a bit more worrisome. Did this video inspire you need a synthetic indicator too for one of your KPIs? Hopefully not related to humanitarian tragedies like the one of this video. If so, you can contact me on the contact page of enterprisestatistics.com, or you can click in the link you can find in the description. Bye, and see you the next time.